Hey everybody, it's Carm here, and know him well, director Rocky, back on a Saturday, I guess late morning, almost noon. Wanted to come on. It had been a little while since I'd really shown some current listens, and I really didn't prepare very much at all. I had meant to about a month ago. I'd made a jaunt to Record Wonderland. In fact, I think it was probably about a month ago today. It was on a Saturday, and I found a lot of classical, listened to everything, but never got around to making a video. And a lot of the stuff is, filed away now, or I'd have to revisit it and refresh my memory, some of the things. But I'll show you here. I'm sure many of you know that insignia well by now. A great place. But I do have something from a couple things that I have been revisiting that I'll show from there. But yeah, I figure I'll just show some things I've been playing the last couple days. Quite a bit here. Kind of combination of older and newer things. I got CDs and records. Starting with the CDs. I was playing this yesterday while I did my wrapping early this year, gift wrapping. Early for me, usually it's on Christmas Eve or the 23rd, but I got it pretty much all done yesterday. So I had Trish's annual Christmas mix. It's part of my ritual every year, playing while wrapping. So enjoyable as always. Thanks much again, Trish. It was very fun. This is a nice one. Roberto Pereira, Christmas Fantasies. I believe he's a Brazilian harpist. Really nice, sort of bossa nova renditions of the Christmas classics here. Real nice improvising off of the tunes. Kind of funky at times. Really neat though. Not a whole lot of jazz harpists out there, if you count someone like Andreas Vollenweider, who's kind of in that realm, or Deborah Henson Conant. But yeah, he's among a relative few. But very nice. Christmas in an Orthodox way. Of course, I had to play this. All-time favorite. Again, I'm not really big into Christmas music in general, but this is among the things that just always had a special place in my heart since I was a kid. And seeing the the program on TV every year, always takes you back. And I keep forgetting from year to year until I look at it again and listen that Jerry Grinelli's on drums on most of this, which I personally know him more for more avant-garde things, more experimental. So neat hearing him in this context, but yeah, I'm sure many of you know this, and it's fantastic. This next one here is part of a holiday, but not this particular one. It's my personal favorite one. Just playing some of this. I just seen Tink's video that she had made yesterday. She was showing some Zappa. But, yeah, really fun stuff here. Halloween show of '73. Auditorium Theater. I'm familiar with that place. Like really fun stuff at the time with his version of the Mothers of that period, early to mid '70s. Many classics on here. Yeah, always fun. And I hadn't listened to him much. It's been a while since I'd really listened to him. Highlights. Love the shoes. And as I'm sure only he could wear them. But, yeah, Zappa on Halloween. This is one I've really listening to a lot lately, enjoying. Tom Barabbas, featuring Bill Tillman. I think this might be an early one of his. I don't see a year on here, but played with Dean Evenson, the flute player. He actually has a wonderful kind of Christmas-oriented album, which I haven't been able to locate, called Magic in December. Kind of a mixture of originals and carols, but a lot of his originals on here. Kind of a jazzy, some are kind of an easy listening, jazzy, slightly music-y, but really fun, kind of fun mixture here. And I really like his composing and his keyboard playing. It's very straightforward, but not too embellished, but really it's definitely his own thing. I definitely recommend getting into him. An old favorite here, which I hadn't listened to in a long time. I've always loved choral music, whether it's Eastern Orthodox, like the Russian choral music, or just anything that's just voice. This is actually a mixture of choral and chamber, kind of smaller orchestral pieces. Arvo Pärt and Miserere. Been into his music for a long time. I think around the mid-90s I had heard him on Hearts of Space, the radio show, and devoted the whole hour to his music. And Rocky's munching on some jewel cases here. It's a diet he's enjoyed since coming here. Before I forget, I want to thank you. I noticed I have some recent subscribers, new subscribers, so thank you all for coming over and your interest. Yeah, Rocky, for those of you who don't know, I've had him for about I think going on 6 years now. He's my youngest. Yeah, he's almost 6, and got him from my grandparents originally. And I found that right away, as soon as I got him, that was something he really likes, is something about the texture of plastic, and especially the jewel cases of CDs he really likes. I have an older one who's sleeping over here named Fuzzy. He's 15, and yeah, I don't think he chews on any of the he has different tastes. So, yeah. So yeah, this is Rocky, also known as the director, in my lap here. So yeah, but Miserere by Arvo Pärt. The piece Sarah was 90 years old is a particular favorite. Has Pierre Favre on percussion, with you have pipe organ and some solo voices. Very stark and haunting. Great stuff. There's a few more CDs here. I got a lot here. Trying to take too long with these. Michael Mannering, Drastic Measures. Real nice, kind of light fusion-y stuff. Wonderful bass player, fretless electric bass. Joined on here by a amazing lineup. We've got yeah, Paul McCandless, Steve Rodby, Mark Walker, among others. Clifford Carter, piano. Fred Simon plays a little bit on here. So we're all kind of part of that circle. A lot of local players from here. But, yeah, I recommend anything by him. An all-time favorite group who I haven't really mentioned them as being an all-time favorite enough, and I don't know, it may come as a surprise to some people, but visiting some Genesis. And then there were three. It was an album that initially I didn't care for when I first heard it. You know, from my teenage years up into my 20s, I was one of those, you know, the Peter Gabriel, only Genesis was my, I was in that camp. But as time went on, I began to appreciate the whole, you know, the whole history. So I've come back to this album and enjoying it a lot more. I'm sure many of you know this one. Kind of still in the early, you could say, kind of transitional years. You know, when after Peter Gabriel left and Phil was, you know, the lead by then, lead singer. But yeah, enjoying it more and more. And going back to the beginning here. I don't know if the original title was just Under Genesis, or I know it was from Genesis to Revelation, this particular one, and the Word was. But yeah, where it all started with them back in, recorded in 68 and 69, when they were all pretty much teenagers at the time, going to school together. But yeah, wonderful if you know their history. Oh, here we go. Something he's well known for here. taking it all in with us. But yeah, yeah, it was really fun. I was playing this yesterday on taking a long drive, finishing up some holiday stuff, shopping, everything. So this was really nice for a long drive. But yeah, if you're not familiar, it's a little different from what was to come, but yeah, very neat to get into it. Ooh, now we have the vinyl, quite a bit here. Yeah, just the last couple days, been just doing a lot of listening when I've been home, and yeah, again, newer and older things. Now this one was from Record Wonderland, among the stack there, and one of the few non-classical pieces I found. Although it could fit in there to some degree. Curlew, North America. Brother Chris, he was recommending this might be something I'd be into. I think of Ryan Anderson, My Lung Puppy, who, hey Ron, if you see this, haven't seen him on recently. Hope he's doing well. It's on Mora's Music. And a really neat, I'd say it's kind of an improvisational, really interesting blend of improvisation, sometimes pretty tight composition, going for many different styles. You hear a little bit of jazz, you hear punk to a degree maybe, or something related to it, a little bit of modern classical, and even rock at times. But it has like this really neat, this kind of playful quality, whimsical too, but also very, you could tell they really know what they're doing. Really interesting playing, and yeah, the instrumentation, you have saxophone, cello, lots of drums and percussion, and yeah, Fred Frith being on this, that definitely helped, made the choice easier. Someone I admire. And also there's a guest spot by Butch Morris, the late trumpet, cornet player, and composer. Very interesting fellow. Yeah, if you're into kind of experimental New York scene stuff of the early to mid '80s, this is right up there with what's out there. Yeah, great stuff. Curlew, North America. Been listening to a lot of East Indian stuff lately. Really revisiting these things. A la Rocca, tabla solo. I've had this for a little while. You can see it's been well worn throughout the years. Vasant Rai on tambura, and Colin Walcott on sitar, which was a nice surprise when I'd come across this. But it's very much tabla is at the fore. If you're familiar with the tablas, hand drums, kind of like sort of look like these exotic bongos, which I guess you could say, although they have a very distinctive sound, very sharp, and they're tuned a certain way. You see them there, and of course he's a master. Very complex rhythms, and I forget the. It's on the tip of my brain. It's a form of singing. It's almost like a scat singing, when you play a figure and then you sing the lines afterwards, kind of repeating the figures. I forget what that's called. Someone could remind me, but yeah, he does a lot of that on there. But yeah, excellent stuff. I very much recommend it if you like percussion in general, but especially the tabla. And again, you have Colin Walcott guesting on here. This one I've been enjoying as of late, by one of these artists I've been into for a long time. Van Duyn, Adelbert Van Duyn, and Dieter Schutz. It's a collaboration between these two from the early 80s, the 82, 83 Inventions on the Sky label. Both passed on now, but really nice electronic artists, synthesizers and guitars. Has kind of a motoric feel to it. It at times it almost sounds like a lost Michael Rother record. Maybe with not as much guitar, but it just has that feel, kind of bouncy and kind of light, but also challenging at times. But if you're a fan of either one of them, I would definitely recommend. And yeah, I don't know if Dieter has a real large catalog, but yeah, it's really neat hearing them together. And yeah, always enjoy hearing something off the sky. So yeah, Adalbert von Dien and Dieter Schütze, Inventions. Another one I've been into for many years, a group that goes back really to my earliest days of just collecting and getting into records, tapes, CDs. Early group in my explorations, Mannheim Steamroller, Fresh Air 4. I know they're very noted for their Christmas albums. I've kind of purposely avoided it listening this year because I've heard it so much in the past. But this really kind of, I'd say it suffices. They were doing seasonal albums early on, the first 4 Fresh Air albums, and there's obviously the winter album. I'm just reminded too by this cover. If you remember the days of CD long boxes, I used to cut out the pictures, part of the cover, from the CD long boxes back when I was in high school, and I would tape them to the inside of my locker, inside of the locker door, and kind of wish I'd preserved some of those. But this was one of the images from the CD long box I had that I cut out. Beautiful stuff, if you know their music. Real nice, interesting blend of. This one's actually quite electronic. There's a lot of synthesizer on here, as well as the period instruments like recorder and harpsichord. I think Chip Davis called it kind of 18th century rock and roll. My all-time favorite piece, not just this album, but I think them in general, is called Crystal on the first side. Real nice synthesizer, actual sound of wind crystals, and it's actually more Halloween oriented. It would be perfect if you looped it and played it in a haunted house or something. It's very, very dark, haunting, mysterious, but also has a little bit of a playfulness too, which a lot of their music does in general. But, yeah, very enjoyable and perfect for this period here. This is a lot of fun getting back into this. CanLanded. I believe this one came after their Soon Over Babaluma from 74. I think it's from 75. I've got the core of the group here. I'm sure many of you know them well. Fun stuff. You could kind of hear where they're the continuation over Soon Over Babaluma, but at times it kind of harks back to the earlier stuff, like maybe Tego Mango a little bit, but you could also hear maybe a little bit of anticipations of punk, which with my limited knowledge of it, but some of the tone kind of reminds me of it, especially on Vernal Equinox. Kind of a blend of punk and psychedelic in a way. For me, though, it's the second side which really does it for my personal taste, especially Unfinished, longest piece on the album. It kind of starts off, you feel like it's almost like you're lost at sea or something in this kind of fog, and in the distance you see like a castle or something on a little island, and it's, as you get closer to it, it gets more and more striking and beautiful, and then out of nowhere it's like you get pulled into another, like a vortex or something, and you're in some industrial wasteland. It gets very noisy with the distorted guitar and percussion and everything, and it stays there for a while, and then it kind of goes back to the prettier setting, kind of a mixture of the two. So it's kind of you're coming around in that journey, but it's really really neat kind of visionary piece, and it ends, it's fittingly titled because it just abruptly ends, just kind of leaves you in the middle of the sea, so to speak, wondering where you're at. So, but that's part of what's enjoyable about it. But yeah, it's real nice stuff if you're not familiar. And always enjoyable revisiting the group. I think I'm about halfway through the stack here. Oh, this is a lot of fun. And Chris Dixieland Farm had done a video on his kind of lounge and exotica, some of the stuff he has. He was showing a lot of percussion records. Yeah, I agree. If you see percussion in the title, it's likely be into it. Flutes and percussion. An enjoyable, neat cover there. And yeah, it's flutes, percussion, and a lot of other kind of big band. Yeah, a lot of woodwinds in general, clarinets, and yeah, lots of clarinets, English horn, percussion, of course, celeste, piano, xylophone vibes. Yeah, kind of a jazzy, you know, you can imagine being like TV theme songs, and I know they cover a lot of different pieces here. Summertime by Gershwin, Best Thing for You, I think Irving Berlin. They have a piece, My Reverie. It's credited to Robbins, but the main melody is I think it's from Debussy. So neat hearing it in this being done in this way. But yeah, really fun if you like this. Let's see, it's on the Time label. I know Chris was talking about his Command records. Yeah, it's on Time Series 2000. So I don't know if I have much on that label. I think I do have a couple of Command records around somewhere. But yeah, always a lot of fun. This was really something. I found this not long ago. Lowry proudly presents the MX1 electronic organ. Although it's really more than just a demonstration record, it's really a neat performance overall. Don't know a whole lot about organs of the time, but I guess this, of course, was state of the art from I think it's from the early 80s, in 1980. But you look at the pieces that are covered here, it really kind of sounds like an advanced Moog record, Moog synthesizer mixed in with digital synthesizer of the time. You wouldn't think it was an organ if you were just hearing the various pieces and the way the kind of the colors move and everything. It's just very just very advanced. Even times it sounds like a string synthesizer, but like a more advanced. It's just very ahead of its time sounding. It sounds like it could have been closer to 1990 than 80, But then again, there's other times too where it sounds, more like the 60s or 70s. So I guess it was both. I guess the instrument was both looking back and, futuristic. But yeah, really neat. Yeah, if you like this sort of thing. But yeah, just a lot of fun. But it doesn't seem like feel like I'm rushing too much. It's been a while since I've done a video where I've shown a bunch of things. Usually I like to limit it to a smaller number. But yeah, that's what I've been enjoying over the last couple days. So a favorite from these two artists here, Gary McFarland and Gabor Szabo, Simpatico. Really beautiful stuff. I was enjoying this a lot, especially during the summer. Which I'd say it's really more of a summery album. But of course you can enjoy it at any time. Do some covers here, some Beatles tunes, which I know Gary had done a lot of. I think actually both of them had at that time. When they were a fairly new group. They did a lot of instrumental covers, though on here there's actually a lot of vocals, I think by Gary McFarland himself. But really nice, very breezy, very warm and inviting. Yeah, they do Norwegian Wood, You Will Pay, She's a Cruiser, Nature Boy, yeah, Yamaha Mama. But yeah, one of my favorite pieces on here is Ups and Downs. It just has a really beautiful feel to it. Very, it's kind of a state of reverie to it. Very nostalgic. But yeah, I definitely recommend this. You're a fan of either one of them, and if you like hearing Beatles done in a somewhat unorthodox way. Yeah, beautiful stuff. It's on Impulse Jazz. Yeah, love this stuff. I think a couple more here. Comanche flute music, played by Tate Nevaquaya. Somebody I found not too long ago. Flute player, playing. He's an Oklahoma musician. Really neat how he approaches this, sort of narrating. We'll talk a little bit about his history and his own personal history with music, and then he'll play some figures on the flute or some songs. Then I'll go back and talk some more. Just kind of goes back and forth between that. But yeah, just a really neat. I like this sort of thing where they're, in a way. And again, it's kind of like a demonstration record, but also stands on its own as just general listening. A real nice insert here. And I always like the American Indian flute. I've collected them and played them a bit myself for years after years of going to the Southwest, Arizona. I'd often pick up a new flute each time I go, for quite a few years in a row. Oh yeah, it's on. See, it's on Folkways. But, yeah, it's really neat. And I don't have a whole lot of American indie music aside from what's on the Canyon label, our Carlos Nakai and others. But, yeah, quite nice. Yeah, Doc Tate Nevaquaya. And finally here, this is an incredible album. Another artist I've enjoyed for a long time. Peter Michael Hamel, Transition. Wonderful solo album here where he's playing all the various instruments. Piano, prepared piano, pipe organ, and synthesizer. And each piece goes through different instruments. The one that really does it for me is the second piece, Mandala, for prepared piano. A lot of times when you hear prepared piano, it sort of sounds like, well, an otherworldly percussion instrument, which kind of turns into when you prepare the piano, sticking various objects in between the strings, just to give it a different tone, different timbre. A lot of times it sounds like like what's playing in the background, like a gamelan. On here, though, he makes it sound more like a marimba in a way, but a marimba of his own design. And it's repetitive, but in a very, a sparse, but for me, hypnotizing way. Very beautiful, very direct, but also it just has a certain, just a very deep quality about it. And yeah, anything I hear by him is enjoyable. If you like Terry Riley, you'd like this, although he takes it very much in his own direction. And yeah, just beautiful. From 1983 on Cook. If you ever see this little label there, anything I've heard on there is very much recommended. Deuter's had been on the label for many years himself. They're a German artist. But, yeah, Peter Michael Hamel. Just beautiful, hypnotizing stuff. So yeah, that's mainly what I've been playing the last couple days, and yeah, I just wanted to come on, and it had been a while anyway, and I wanted to try to come on at least before the New Year's, if not Christmas itself. But can you see him here? Dozing here, enjoying it. But I thought I had what I had in the background. Music I had in the background. What did I do with it? I'm not sure. Well, it's Pauline Oliveros, actually, what's playing in the background. It's by a gamelan ensemble. It's one of the pieces I found at Record Wonderland. Not sure what I did with it. Let's see if it's under something. I'd like you to see the cover. It's got a neat cover to it. I'm sure I'll find it as soon as I turn the video off. Is it under him? No. Sometimes he likes to lay on the CDs. But yeah, it's Pauline Oliveros, gamelan music. Really, really enjoyable. Yeah, it's another one I'd found from Record Wonderland. But yeah, just wanted to come on and say hello. And again, it had been a little while, and yeah, we'll see what the new year holds. I would like to do. I'm actually thinking about discontinuing the book channel because I'm really not on there much anymore. But I think what I'll do from now on is I'll just do. I'll show books and other things here, which is kind of the initial intention anyway. But yeah, so that's maybe one little change to things, in the new year. And yeah, I'll just come on and show these things when they pop up. So I hope we're all doing well and happy and merry, whatever you're celebrating. And I just hope we're all well and healthy. And thank you for being here as always. Well, till the next one. Peace, love, and joy.